Going into part two, we heard in part one how beautifully and wonderfully we are made. Psalm 139 tells us that God made us in perfection. Now I want to read something that is about you who are watching this. And it says this: be humble enough to realize you still have a lot to learn. Be ambitious enough to know you can be anything you want to be. Be easy enough on yourself to laugh, to enjoy, to have fun. Be mature enough to take responsibility for what you do. Be proud enough to take care of your body, mind, and spirit. Be confident enough to see that who you are inside is more important than how you look outside. Be wise enough to choose your friends carefully. Be absolutely sure that wherever you go, whatever you do, you are loved.
Well, carrying on with our Liesel. Liesel started staying away from home for long periods of time. And then she'd turn up and say she'd been living with friends and partying as usual. Liesel, when she was at home, she used to come home at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, sleep the whole day, and then get up at about 5 or 6 in the evening to get ready to go party again, and she'd leave the house about 9 o'clock at night to go and party and come home again the next morning, 6 or 7, and do it all over again, every day. We went to live in Joburg, and Liesel met a friend, and this friend was a model, and this friend was heavily into drugs and partying. And she introduced Liesel, her friend, introduced her to her first taste of LSD, chemical drugs. Liesel felt like she was in heaven. And all she did was laugh and laugh. And you know who she thought she was? She thought she was Marilyn Monroe. This is what the drugs did to her. Not actually a laughing matter, but she really laughed and thought she was a film star. This friend also gave her her first line of coke. And then she started to smoke coke. And she started to go backwards. And all she could think of from that moment on was where she was going to get her next fix from. Because remember, as I said, the first one was free. But the second one, she had to pay for it, and it wasn't cheap. Be careful if somebody offers you something and they say, come and try it, it's free. Remember, it's not always going to be that. And you've got to learn to say no. Learn to say no if somebody offers you something like that. We now knew that our Liesel was a full-blown drug addict. And in the next picture, she will appear totally normal to you. But we found out afterwards that she was high on cocaine. One night, Liesel and her boyfriend did so much drugs that she cut her wrists in a hotel. They were living in a hotel in Vereniging. They went there for the weekend to go and party as usual. And Liesel cut her wrists because this is what the drugs did to her. The walls, the passageway, everything was covered in blood. Liesel was rushed to the hospital and they had to stitch her wrists up, and then they had to take her wisdom teeth out. Her wisdom teeth were starting to go bad. They had to go through underneath her chin to get her wisdom teeth out. Liesel lost all of her friends because of how she carried on after she had taken the drugs. Her boyfriend left her because he was scared that he was going to wake up one night one morning and find her dead next to him.
I was driving Liesel to work the one day, and she turned to me and she says, she called me Dad. Dad, have you ever done drugs before? Have you ever smoked dagga? I said, no, Liesel, I've never done it. And you know, she could not understand this, that anyone has not done drugs of some sort. And to this day, I still haven't done anything. But Liesel was so into the circle, into the crowd of druggies, that she just couldn't understand anybody that wasn't in that kind of situation.
Well, we tried everything possible to try and get Liesel to stop. But, you know, you cannot force anybody. You can only give them advice. And if they take it, that's wonderful. If they don't, they've got to take the consequences of their actions. We cannot force anyone to stop. And because she knew that we had now found out that she was a full-blown drug addict, she started staying away more often and for longer periods of time. She only came to see us when she was sober. And maybe there's somebody listening to this that you can identify with this. You know, I was so naive, as I said. I didn't see the signs. I didn't look for the signs because I didn't think that I had to in the beginning. And when I did know about the signs, it was too late. She turned, unfortunately, to prostitution so that she could get money to buy her next fix. Liesel could not function and be a normal person without drugs in her system. She lost job after job. She couldn't keep a job down because of the way she was when she never had the drugs in her system. And she formed many a soul tie, but that is something that you would have to, it's for another time about soul tie.
Another thing is that you often hear of these drug addicts that steal from their families, and they wreck their house and they sell all the appliances and the computers and everything to get money for drugs. That's one thing Liesel never ever did with us. She never stole from us. She stole from other people, but she never stole from us. And she knew that if she came to the house was a drug-free zone. We made it very clear to her that if we found out that she brought drugs into the house, she'd be out on her ear.
Yes. One morning, well, she phoned me and she said, Mommy, you'll never guess what. She said, I woke up this morning, Mom. You know where I was? I was stuck under a dashboard of a car. And I said, Liesel, how did that happen? She said, Mommy, I don't know, there was this new drug that they brought out and I tried it. And the next thing I knew, I woke up and I was shoved underneath the dashboard of this car. Obviously, they couldn't get me out. So they just left me there with it parked in the main road, Sea Point, with the door unlocked, and that's where I spent the night. It was the new date rape drug that came out. Rohypnol, that's what it was. And by this time, Liesel's face was full of sores. From the drugs, full of sores. She looked terrible. She really did. That beautiful girl that we saw looked like this. She was not created in that way. She kept on blaming others for her circumstances and for her wrong choices. But that did not stop her from going deeper and deeper into hell. She and a friend got a modeling contract in London. What a chance of a lifetime. But of course, Liesel had to have a party the night before they were leaving because she wanted to say goodbye and farewell to all her friends. Well, needless to say, that the next morning when the plane took off, Liesel was still partying. Liesel was still doing drugs. And the thing with Liesel is that she used to overdo it. Instead of taking a gram like everybody else, Liesel would take 3 grams. She had to go that extra mile. She had to do her best to be better than somebody else. She had to try and prove something to somebody because she didn't feel worthy in herself. And she lost the flight, she lost the contract, she lost the ticket, which she had to pay for in the end. So it didn't benefit her in the least. The drugs Liesel was using so far, and I had to read them, were dagga, ecstasy, LSD, cocaine, crack cocaine, that's the rock, acid, pethidine, tick, and Nubane. And there were many others that she tried. She tried them intravenously, via injection, and she also drank a lot while drugging, which didn't do her brain any good. Liesel's body started to crave for something stronger, for something more, and this is what happens. You take your body so far with a new drug that you, or more of what you're taking, and then your body craves more and more because you're not getting that high. And by the way, the first high that you get from taking a chemical drug, you will never ever experience again. It's a once-off, and you keep trying to get back to that first time again. Her body was craving something stronger, and the last stop drug then was heroin. And Liesel promised herself that she would never try that drug, but her body began to cramp so badly because it was craving more and more and more that she gave in, and she tried her first fix of heroin from another set of friends. After her first fix, Liesel was totally, utterly hooked. She was hooked on heroin.
Just notice that that list of drugs that Denise read out. The first drug was dagga. That's where it all starts. Dagga is the gateway drug, and it doesn't. I don't care who says it or what they say about dagga being. It's okay. It's all right. You can have dagga. It's fine. Even the Constitutional Court says it's fine. It's actually not fine. Dagga is the gateway drug.
Yes.
Dagga is the drug that gives you your first high, and it progresses from there. From there, it will go to the cocaine. It'll go to all the other drugs, tick and all of this kind of stuff, and it'll end up with heroin. Don't do it. Don't even think about having dagga as just to try it. Don't, because it's a long, long road down from there.
You're right. The more Liesel had, the more she wanted, the more her body craved this, and she was on the road to destruction. Now, just at the end of this session, what does the Bible say about friends? Psalm 1 verse 1 says, "How well God likes you, because you don't hang out at clubs." And this is out of the Message Bible. Your road is not a dead end, and you don't hang out with friends who talk as though they know everything. 1 Corinthians 15 verse 33 says, "Don't fool yourselves. Bad company ruins good manners." Proverbs 13:20 says, "Become wise by walking with the wise. If you hang out with fools, watch your life fall to pieces." Ask yourself, are your friends a good influence in your life, or are you being taken down a path you are not familiar with? Drink, drugs, and sex. You can't always be surrounded by Christians or good people, but be on your guard that you are not being deceived into doing something you know is not right. People play an important role in our lives. They either build or break.
Do you really know your friends? Who are the people that you hang out with? Who are the people that you go to their houses to hang out with them, play music and go to the cafe, whatever? Are they really your friends? If you get yourself into trouble, if you get hurt or something happens, do they come and find out how you are? Do they give you a phone call to say, hey, how's it going? Are you okay? Or do they just leave you? Because Liesel lost all her friends. And that will be coming up in the next couple of parts that we have for you. Liesel lost all her friends. They weren't really friends, they were acquaintances. Be careful of your friends. Can you trust them? Be careful of your friends.
And another bit of advice, stay away from negative people. You have a choice, and you can say no.